So we are back into the final session, as I said, and we have 3 more presentations, and then we're going to have some of the overall discussions. And I am very happy to introduce Edvin. Edvin Sandström is researcher and team leader at the Swedish Center for Preventing Violent Extremism. Since 2018, has been developing preventive measures against violent extremism and terrorism at local, regional, and national level in Sweden, with a particular focus on the role of multi-agency collaboration and the understanding of new forms of violent extremism. He has also contributed to the development of 2 support models for first responders addressing concerns about preventing and responding to violent extremism. So very much looking forward to the presentation. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'll try to share it. Otherwise, I'll see if you need to help me, but I'll try.
Devin is here to help, but it looks okay, I think.
Yeah, I make everybody co-host who needs to talk, so they have all the rights and they can end the meeting for everybody if they want.
Yeah. All right, great. So you can see it now, right?
Yes, I
can. Okay, yes. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much for having us. We're a bit odd one out in a sense, but we're really happy coming from the national level to be part of this this day, and really important. And it's been great to listen to all of the presentation, because since I also I have a sociological background and did my PhD on trying to figure out how small groups, create values and that stuff, and came into extremist research due to that. So it's has been very inspiring to listen to you all. So what I will talk with you about today is how we try to communicate, this phenomena in Sweden. And we have, since a couple of years now, we have had a testimonial theater as a tool in this, trying to understand how we can better communicate with professionals whom are the main target groups for our center. We don't work directly with parents and other stakeholders, but mostly those who are come in contact in prevention on violent extremism. So that's important for you to know. So yeah. The outline then, can you see? Yeah, the outline, sorry. I will talk shortly about the background, what this model actually means, the testimonial theater, and how we
Edvin, if you can shift the next slide, then we can see it better, the outline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you go next slide and the next slide.
Do you see it now?
I don't.
You don't?
Can you go into the next? Yeah.
No, because you're not in presentation mode. Like we see your desktop essentially.
Yeah. Only okay.
Yeah, we see your desktop.
Strange. Because I see. Okay, I'll try to do.
Because we can theoretically see outline and background, but it's too small to read on the on the side on the slides. Yes. So if you just this is background. Perfect.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wrongly connected. Okay. So the background then is that Teater Fryshuset, which is a global non-profit organization, came to us with a project idea about doing a theater about the incel community. And Teater Fryshuset is only 2 persons, but have been working with building in their model on testimonial theater since almost 20 years back. So they've been quite famous in Sweden and touring around with a lot of shows consisting of hooliganism and extremism in various forms. So we were very glad when they came to us and wanted to do something with us. But as our threat image then was very much about a more broader picture about trying to understand, at least for our target groups, trying to understand the phenomena of lone actors. We decided to broaden the picture a bit, even though the incel, in a sense, and I'll come back to that, also the gamer, in a sense, were really inspired this idea and the play. So we helped them out with the funding, but I sat down with them and kind of brought in input on the research that we thought would be necessary to build this character. So testimonial theater, of course, comes in many shapes, but as I said, Teater Fryshuset has developed their own model over some years, and they've been really good at really, get to know the environment they are wanting to tell the environment stories and that community. So they often spend years in that before they set up a play. And before this setup, they also had been doing stuff before on online radicalization. So they kind of knew the threat landscape a bit. But we could also serve them with more recent research and the experiences that we also get from the professionals who are who shows concerns and take help from our center. So they are really they are really trying to build strong stories, but very strict way. As we see, this is also what I'm trying to show with the whole image here. That is, they often use very strict black stages, really to show to bring front the story of the often just one people telling that story. And this is also the case in this performance, that how to present an inside perspective from, in this case, a lone actor in this field. So before I came into this, I thought that this could be quite problematic in the sense of, how should we really tell that story that doesn't become too dogmatic or something. But as this model and what has shown, it's has been quite useful, especially in terms of raising the awareness and trying to bring back, the inside perspective and the social issue of the lone actor in order to find the preventative measure together in the communities, right? So when we're trying to portray this lone actor, as I told you already, we sat down and had a number of meetings. I asked them, which part of the communities and how they really had come up, because they came with us with an incel manuscript in a sense, and then we tried to tune it a bit, as I told you before, to be a bit broader in that sense. So they already had a pretty good layout of how particularly young men then have had quite some experience in online and self-radicalization in a sense, and trying to build very much also on the nexus of the more organized crimes, since there was before this they did a play on how the recruitment on online recruitment in organized crimes was taking part in Sweden, also has that landscape has also been part of our threat images, and the nexuses between this and the extremism is very much on the agenda now, especially here in Sweden. So they had a good, I would say, a setup on that. So we were trying to help one another to see how we also could put in the concerns that we see from the professionals, often from local polices and the social services, even though if they kind of know extremism and some of the common risk and protective factors, we wanted to build this character on that. I mean, the dissonance in a sense, to show that when they look for signs and leakages, and as I write here, we see that they need to broaden their picture in this to really understand and how to see, especially the balance between what violent extremism in Sweden has been and also the nexus with school attacks and school shooters, which before in Sweden wasn't a big problem, but unfortunately since like 5 or like 10 years back, it's also very much about the concerns coming into our center. It's very much focused on school attacks, which you also probably see in the developing part in your countries as well. And but before, when I started at the center back in 2018, we didn't had that much to do actually with schools. So, but this changed during and after the pandemic in a sense, and this was also what we were trying to build here. Portraying a lone actor that could have done a target outside of school, but we decided to focus on like a build up to a school attack in this way. And this is, why I'm here at this conference, and also I think why we got the invitation is that we, of course, this was quite much. We had a lot of discussion on online radicalization, especially in how we sought to build up the identity of the gamer as a subject here, as this character was really trying to find his way in social networks, but were really, had some really difficulty with this, and this is what we kind of played with, and the gaming community in a sense became a big part of his time, where he found friends that he thought were really understood him and could find a connection with them. So we built very much on that idea, and much about what you previous speakers has spoken about today. So that was also, we tried to push it, but not too much, to still have kind of a broad character in a sense. So this was the final, not the final, but this is the result of that of building of the character. And in Swedish it's called rov, but in if we translate it, it becomes pred, and it reflects on this, how he really were subjected to a lot of bullying and a lot of grievances during his when he grew up, and this idea of becoming the hunter and trying to very much revenge those he thought had been hurting him before. So Ludwig Deltin, who has been doing some like movies in Sweden, this was his actually first theatrical play, and he's proven to be very, very good at in this role. And I think this image is quite good in telling how it become quite effective to see first the audience meet. They really see this character that we kind of see when we look at lone actors in a sense, but also he has the really ability to show the weakness, and so you really get the feel that this is a person that really cries out for help. So very short about the premiere and how we built that. After we did a good thing with Teater Fryshuset, and as I told you before, that they have been active for almost 20 years now, is that they play at the biggest scenes in Sweden. And that was quite important for us when we, when we wanted media to write about this and review it, and it helped a lot. So we premiered at Kulturhuset, which is one of the biggest scenes in Stockholm, and then perhaps our most famous theater in Sweden picked it up. Then the Royal Dramatic Theatre, which gave the show a really good start for. Like touring around schools, which it does now, and it's completely full booked. I think at least 1.5 years ahead. And as you see, also we have we've been in Norway, and also there's a plan to maybe set it up in Denmark as well. So we have had a pretty good spread of this, I think. And also we are quite proud that it's now also included in the education program for police and social workers at Södertörns University, which really thinks that this gives some extra to their educational program, and we are very happy for that, of course. Okay, so we've been trying to build a kind of model for this, especially designed for schools. At the beginning, as you saw when we presented it and when we played it at the big national stages, there was more like a regional theater. But when we play it for schools, it's more important to have like a more structural way of doing this. So before when we promote it to schools and that stuff, we try to plan it with the local PCV stakeholders, which also is part of our like national assignment to really connect the dots from both national, regional, and local levels. So that has been pretty good in that sense that we try to connect the local PCV stakeholder that will actually be part of the post talk, since we provide a post talk after each performance, which is kind of important to pick up the room and try to understand how the reflection there and how their understanding and their feel of what they've seen. And also that we also send out the educational material before, so teachers specifically in schools, since this is directed to that, it's more about trying to understand how online behavior, how pupils and students should try to treat one another, and how if they see signs of harm and other stuff, where what they should do with that kind of knowledge and that stuff. So it's been also quite interesting. It's a very short educational material, but with like 5 questions to discuss. But the reflection we got from that has been quite good, and the teachers also feel that there's a material they can be. They don't only speak about extremism, but it's more like about the how should you behave online, in a sense, in a very broad sense. All right. So the insight we gathered so far has been pretty good. This is only like a few insights, but to take one, maybe I would say that the discussion about what you discussed here today is very much up on the agenda, since there are a lot of concerns how to deal with online prevention and how to really be effective in that work. And I think that many people who have seen it had come up to us after the postdoc and also engaged in dialogues afterwards and found like courage to wanting to do more. So that has been like a trigger in that sense, that they know more about us. If they want to support, they can call us. Since we aren't that big in Sweden, but unfortunately, since there are a lot of concerns about school shootings, we are also the center that has been targeted for dealing with that kind of concerns. It's been important for us. And also the discussion about, where we can meet them in a balanced way, not only talk about security, but from trying to understand these individuals more on the strange to say social level, but this is what I mean with the taking terror out of terrorism, that they try to engage in dialogues to not see the perpetrator, but to try to see the human being about this phenomena, about lone actors and that. I think I'm soon up, but I mean, we try to do our best. I really try to seek funding for this to do proper monitoring and evaluation and updates, but unfortunately I haven't got that yet. But we do have follow-up with the local PCV coordinators, as I spoke about earlier, and try to see how they better could understand the communities and what kind of discussion are ongoing there, because we are at the beginning we were part of like every discussion, but after like 40 performances we couldn't really be there anymore. So we tried to do our best to follow up the single performances, but now it kind of lives on its own. So we are kind of happy in that, and as I mentioned from the beginning, we see this as a pretty important part of our toolbox now in the PCV measures we work with it. Thank you.